Good morning, Professor Felli, and thank you for accepting this quick interview. As organizers from the ML4NGP conference, we decided to ask you some questions. And the first one is about IDP and NMR. We were wondering if you could share with us what were the key milestones of your research journey and how you perceive the current landscape of IDP research.
Mm-hmm. So thanks a lot, and thanks a lot for organizing this nice workshop that I'm enjoying a lot. And actually, I started at CERM focusing on structured protein, actually trying to determine the three-dimensional structure of paramagnetic proteins. And this, of course, exposed me to NMR, and the technique that I enjoy a lot and I like a lot to develop novel methods. So since this technique is so well suited also to see dynamics, my interest progressively shifted to looking at the dynamic properties of macromolecules in solution. And then when, like in around the year 2000, the scientific community finally recognized the importance of intrinsically disordered proteins, somehow we jumped into this field. We were very happy to contribute with our technology a lot of interesting atomic resolution information. And this was more or less the time in which we also were awarded a very nice project, the IDPbyNMR Marie Curie Training Network that we coordinated in Florence together with my colleague Roberta Pierattelli. And this was really a fantastic period because we were able, through this project, to involve the pioneers in the field with whom we could, interact and have their view. Like some people were Peter Tompa, Vladimir Uversky, Keith Dunker, but also some more NMR-oriented people like Michele Vendruscolo, Bernard Brucher, Martin Blackledge, Bax, and so on. And it was also nice because the heart of this project was training the students. So it was nice to do this in a teamwork with the students, which were the active part of the project. And so I think this is the real important milestone that brought me now to have this as my major research interest. Maybe I can add something because you also mentioned about the current landscape, no? So I think I'm very happy now that this research field is maturing and that now, at least in our scientific community, is recognized as a very important emerging field of research. On the other hand, when I go and talk to people that are a bit outside of this scientific community, like, for example, medical doctors, they still have no idea or, just a faint idea of this field, whereas many of the currently incurable diseases are actually depending on misfunction of one of these intrinsically disordered proteins. And like a colleague says, no wonder we have no methods to address the druggability of these proteins. So this, I think, is another very cool and emerging field that we should all focus on, and that, again, is not yet perceived at all or in a very minor way by private companies, like pharmaceutical companies. Still mainly have folded targets in their minds.
Mm-hmm. So your work often includes various scientific disciplines. And actually, we were wondering if you could share some experience with interdisciplinary collaborations and how this is advancing the NMR field. Like how important is that papers including NMR are also including other techniques or other approaches, like to have a bigger view on a specific subject. And also what you think are the challenges for the NMR, but more in general, the NMR applied to the IDPs in the next years.
Lots of interesting questions. So starting from the collaborations, they are clearly very important. So maybe I could start quoting the importance of integrating information from different techniques. A colleague once said studying IDPs is like the problem of the elephant, no? That it's an Indian story, I think, and so each person has a different view on the properties of the elephant. So we should do the same with the different technologies. And for example, Instruct, Eric, is a platform that is very well suited to do this and aims to do this since a long time. So for example, SACS is definitely very important, but also integrating with other techniques like X-ray, cryo-EM, and of course molecular biology methods are the key to obtain nice samples. From my perspective, another important point that helped me, to broaden my view and go ahead was also the interaction with the users of our research infrastructure, because CERM is providing access to external users, and I have been for a long time interacting with them to evaluate the feasibility of their project and help them to achieve good results. So each time is like being exposed to a new problem and trying to, make the best of NMR spectroscopy. So this also helped me a lot throughout the years to establish contacts, help other people, and also, see how things would develop in a broader context.
Mm-hmm. You would say that the collaborations, most of the times when you have a collaboration, the people come and ask you how to use the NMR, or rather the other way around. Maybe you propose some ideas to certain groups that might be interesting, test the NMR technique on their projects. So
this brings also to the second question that you pointed out about where NMR is going, how it can contribute. And NMR is an extraordinarily sophisticated and powerful technique, but on the other hand, you have to know what you can do. So you can use NMR also at a very low level and achieve some results. But in particular, when focusing on IDPs, you should change your mentality and, go from the setup that was best for globular proteins and change it, because it's obviously very different, being the properties of the proteins very different. So one of my major focus is to try to develop the NMR methods, and always it's not in one step, but in several little steps. We managed to develop a large set of experiments that are now optimal for IDPs, and that maybe not in all centers can be acquired also, because part of them requires sophisticated hardware, high-field machines. So this is a bit the way we interact with the users without selling or but trying really to create a fruitful relationship to see how to use at best the NMR technique to answer challenging questions. I realized I didn't mention about the importance of all these interactions through the this machine learning for non-globular proteins. I think it's a project that is doing a great job in networking the community of experimentalists, as I am, also with the computational people, database people, because that's really a key to getting our topic in the hands of a larger public. Connecting to the health sector and more in general on the potential of NMR to study IDPs, one thing that I'm really fascinated about is that in the last 10 years, a number of motifs that are encoded by disorder are emerging. And these, of course, are not yet described in the protein data bank, because they are not static motifs, but they are motifs associated to dynamic parts of proteins, and they are functional. There are several examples. Now I don't want to go into detail, but I'm really fascinated about these, and I think that the ones we have found are just represented the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more to do that I hope will contribute to learning more about how proteins function.
Okay, and actually we have some questions that are less technical, less focusing on the NMR technique, but it's anyway connected to the people doing this kind of research. We have seen with this cost action, but also with historical perspective, let's say that there is a strong gender imbalance, and there are less women doing this kind of research that are involved in structural biology in general, but also machine learning and related fields. So the question would be, what do you think are the factors that might rebalance this field of study? What do you think it might be something interesting to look at, for example, to arrive in a point where there is a good balance?
Maybe I can tell you a bit my perspective on this topic. And of course, as women, we are much better off than a couple of decades ago with all these actions to support and promote participation in science. And I think these resulted in quite good results at the levels of, the lower levels in a scientific career. Because if you look at the average of people signing up in universities and then going ahead towards the doctorate and to postdoc, then the balance is quite fair, is pretty much balanced in terms of gender. I think the major problem comes when, after postdoc you begin to think you have to get a job, maybe you want to get a family, and there it becomes very tricky for women because still, even if there has been a lot of progress, but a bit the mentality that the woman should take care of the family is there. And I think this is a major bottleneck. Maybe I can tell a short story about a meeting I was in Greece, and there they had organized a session about gender, no? And so the question for the student was, why are you doing science? And the answer of the males were, I want to get a good job. And the answer of the females were, I want to have fun because then I will have to get a job. And this, I think, tells a lot.
Okay.
And maybe another small story, maybe not too much on science, is I am a mother of 2 twins, which means that if you can manage to have fun and doing research and also have a family. And when they were little, they are a boy and a girl. And so we had to feed them with milk bottles. And we didn't want to use the pink and blue signs for the bottles. So we said, we have bottles of different shapes, a big one and a small one. And they are equally good, so let's use them to feed them. And when we were receiving guests, that our friends would like to be involved and help us with feeding them. And they were asking, which is the bottle of Julia, which is of Leonardo? And without us saying anything, everyone would pick the big bottle for the male and the small bottle for the girl. So I think this tells how eradicated some of our gender issues are in our mind, just as an instinct. But so going back to science, I think that support in the early phases of the career is not a major problem. The tricky part is to, help the transition and support, in my view, support families.
Okay, so having an ecosystem that maybe allows also the female to having...
Yes, so having, at conferences, places that can help you take your family, or near your lab, kindergarten where you can enjoy a family life and, find ways to get organizing, sharing this also with the rest of the family.
Thank you, Professor, for joining this short interview, and we hope to see you soon at another conference or to interview soon about some other scientific breakthrough. Thanks.
Thanks a lot.